welcome back to TitanReach. I've been hanging out over in the copper mine, doing some copper mining. But before we get into that, we got a few things that are working better than they were before. If we check out our pets interface, the chicken now doesn't smear all over the screen, and it's also rotating. So, that's working better. Probably just one of the small things that were improved with the latest client version. Still need to download it every time it's changed, but it's a work in progress. Anyways, we've been mining up a storm, making ourselves copper arrowheads to level up all the relevant skills here. Also, we got an emerald, which is a huge plus. So with that, we can make ourselves an emerald amulet. We don't have an amulet yet, so might as well. And that got some metallurgy level. Very cool. Level 20, we can make a ruby ring if we find a ruby. Here we go. Emerald amulet. It's got 10 armor. I'm always up for some more armor. So that's the arrow slot. Not sure what this slot's supposed to be. Possibly cape. I don't think capes are here yet. Anyways. An extra 10 armor. Not gonna complain. What we're really here for just a few more copper bars. Forging 16. Which means we can now make iron things. Specifically the pickaxe and the axe, which are gonna be super useful. Let's speed this all up quite a bit. But for that, we're gonna need to get some iron. And I don't really need these copper bars, so we're just gonna finish making the arrowheads. A nice 1,200 more arrowheads that we may or may not actually make into arrows. We would need to... We only have so many feathers right now. And since we got the chicken pet, there's really not too many reasons to go back to chickens besides getting more feathers. And the only reason we want feathers would be for more range training and survival, I guess. But also, we have the ability to use iron arrows, even if we haven't made any yet. So I think we might be better off keeping these in the bank, potentially to sell later, because they have some value. 2 coins each of these. That's 2,500. I have a double our cash stack. But we also might make arrows, so until we decide what we're going to actually do with these, they can just stay here. But now, it's time to go get some iron. In our adventures around, we found that there were 2 iron spots. One that's close to town, and one that isn't. So, we're gonna go to the one that is close to town. If we were going to be, like, dropping all the iron, I suppose we could go to the other location, but I don't think I'd really want to do that. Unless we just check on the map here. Filter to ore locations. We have the copper mine, the close iron mine, the not close at all iron mine, and the coal mine. Also, a fun new addition. The person that does the map also did some work to find the various drop rates of things. So here we can see we can get rubies here, sapphires here. And if we unfilter things, we can look at all the various creatures, like Wolves drop things. Raccoons drop stuff. Bears drop things. Very useful map. With all the various information in here, it might end up being more useful than the actual in-game map, which is peculiar. But, see, even the store tells you all the things in the store. Look at that. Okay. Alright, let's mine some iron. See if we can position ourselves here in between the two ores, so we can just keep on clicking E. Presumably, this is going to speed up significantly once we make ourselves an iron pickaxe. That is definitely top of the list of things we want to do. Those are not the same color, but okay. Mine from an iron rock, it'll be refined through metallurgy. Yep. So far, it's feeling quite a bit slower than the copper. But that's to be expected. It's a higher level resource, and we're still using our copper pickaxe, so. We'll see how much of a difference upgrading does. Mining level also should probably help. Now, one thing to consider in this situation is I could just go cart the iron ore to the bank and come back a whole bunch of times, or I could run to the forge and process the iron every inventory. Ultimately, it doesn't look like we're going to save any space by not doing that, so probably what we're going to be doing here. This is the perfect spot to stand so we can mine both iron rocks without having to move anything. Super convenient. Don't need to face it or anything to get the E interaction, just need to be close enough. And I can work with that. Also, looks like combat is back to, I don't know if it's fixed, but it's got a number, and the number is apparently 10. It's higher than it was when our stats were a little lower, so I'm going to assume that's correct for now. And with our upgrade to iron armor and weapons, we should be able to make much better use of our stats here against whatever we have to fight next. Okay. Full inventory of iron ore. Let's make a beeline for the forge. Maybe not too much of a time save by just going here first. Probably similar amount of running either way. It's not too far off the course to the bank. So now we can make iron. Uses 2 iron ore. So we can make 15 iron ingots per trip. I suppose on the way back, we can sell or store everything. So we can always end up bringing 15 ingots worth over here. Unless we get one of the gems, then we kind of have to not. But for the value of the, it would be rubies, I would be more than happy to not have the full inventory of iron ore. Alright, let's make our first iron equipment. Iron pickaxe. iron axe. I guess we're just gonna make a whole bunch of iron pickaxes. It looks like we will be getting to 17. So we can make one iron dagger. Or two iron daggers. Switching between things does not quite work the way I expected, so I have to work on that, I guess. And now we can make iron arrowheads. Okay. Let's look at the value of all these. 45, 45. Is that 10 per? $75 on the daggers. But it's really... The arrowheads are way more valuable than the other items here. If you get 10 each, that's 100. Compared to 75 or 45. The arrowheads, they stack and they're way better. Dish the copper pickaxe. Let's compare that. Alright, let's see what we got here. Copper greatsword is 25, 1.2. The dagger is 12.8. So, less than half the speed. Less than half the damage and not less than half the speed. So, copper greatsword is still more damage per second than the iron dagger. I was probably just gonna wait for the iron greatsword anyways, but I guess we can check again once we get the sword. The sword, I wouldn't be too surprised if the sword was more valuable or better damage-wise than the copper greatsword. So we can store arrowheads, which do appear to be very profitable. The copper arrowheads was 50 per bar. Iron heads are 100. Copper pickaxe. Some of the values are obviously placeholder, but we can sell our old copper pickaxe. Old copper axe. All these extra iron pickaxes we don't need. And the iron daggers. But now we're going to be just making piles and piles of iron arrowheads. And whatever new things we can get each time. So let's go see how good the iron pickaxe does. It's definitely looking slightly more pickaxey, I'd say. Not that we actually ever use the other side, but it's just the visual that counts, I suppose. Let's get ourselves situated. See if we can mine these rocks a little bit quicker now. Somebody's making a trade. Selling something for 100 each. Oh yeah, that might be a fluke there, but we're definitely mining the iron faster now. Use for mining, though it wouldn't tickle being bashed in the head with it. 16 damage. 1 second. Yeah, no information on exactly how good at mining it is. It's just, it's iron, it's better. And that's pretty much all you really need to know. Yep. As far as skills are going, all this mining and such, we are up to 19 mining. And the metallurgy is roughly equal, and the foraging is lagging behind, so Might be beneficial to try to pick up some extra ores on the ground or something. Put some more value into the ingots, since you need more ingots than you can make, it seems. There's a third rock over there, but it really seems like the correct play here is to angle yourself to be able to just click E and mine 2 rocks at once, instead of having to move your character around every time. So that's going to be the strategy we're going to keep employing here. Alright. As our levels increase, we're obviously going to need increasing number of materials per level. I wonder if possibly the lowest levels here are going to be offset by the fact that making iron would give more experience than copper. See how quickly these levels are going. Got a metallurgy level at least. Alright. Iron. Looks like gloves are at 18. Let's see if we can get to gloves. Okay, a lot of the buttons that said that you could cancel, like pressing E to cancel moving, didn't work. So now pressing E to cancel making a thing did not work, and then closing the interface also didn't work. You have to literally move out and then actually move away from the anvil to stop smithing. So we now do not have enough iron bar ingots to make the iron gloves, so the next round, we can make ourselves some new gloves. And since gloves were one of the items where leather and copper had the same armor bonus, presumably we'll end up with some better gloves here. Another thing to note, every round of this, since we make 150 arrowheads, and each arrowhead has a value of 10, that is a value of 1,500, but in reality, it's more of 600, because of the 40% sell price. Although we could just make them into arrows, and they might even be worth more than that, so. But then using the arrows is an expensive proposition. There might be value in just using the copper arrows to level up, since they're what seems to be half the price. Not that there's too many things that we could buy with gold at the current state. I mean, yeah, there's player-to-player trading, but I'm doing a pseudo buy myself kind of thing here, so that's why we're mining this iron to make our gear instead of just buying it from the general store. There's more stuff to do, I suppose. The next question is going to be, what level is it to start making steel? I think it was 33, but I'll have to check here. Because that could be a significant amount of iron mining. And therefore a significant amount of iron arrow tips. You can cut that little tree. You can cut all the trees. That was an additional change for the early access. Very good. Mining level 20. Very cool. Not sure what the mining level for iron or coal is, but if it's 20, we can do it, but we have no use for coal yet, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. We're just here chilling with iron still. And we're going to be chilling here with iron still for a long time, because the metallurgy level for making steel is 30, and we're only 19 going on 20. I don't know exactly what formula they're doing for levels. But each level presumably takes more experience than the last, but how quickly that's ramping up is a question. Let's make these iron gloves. And then we'll make the iron arrowheads, but prepare to run away in case we get to level 19 and can make a sword here. This goes up to 25. Fuck. We need to work better on that to be able to run away. But there's forging 19, so we could make a sword now. But we didn't. I just need to press a smaller number so we just don't go over. Anyways, we got the iron gloves. We get the iron sword next time, I guess. Iron gloves. Armor, 16. Defense requirement of 10. That's twice as much as the copper gloves. Let's get a view of these. Yep. Looks like iron. Alright. Now I don't know if the whole system of leather versus mail armor matters. So we're gonna keep the leather stuff in the bank, but I don't think we're gonna need copper armor for anything. Let's just sell this off. 24 gold. There's a steel chestplate. It's pretty cool. Store the money. Store the arrowheads. I'm selling feathers and a cobalt sword. Ooh, fancy. To make a cobalt sword, you have to purchase the ore from the store, because that's the only cobalt in the game so far. It's one of those things in the rare store. Oh look, it's people at the iron mine. Like it's iron at the iron mine. I still need the iron XP. I guess this is an opportunity to see if this feels like it works a lot worse with multiple people. The respawn rates on the iron ore aren't too bad, so that seems to be okay. It's like a heavy steel pickaxe, maybe? Probably. You still need iron to make steel, so makes sense for them to be here. Because with steel being the highest level thing that you can smith, besides having to purchase the ores to make the cobalt sword. Iron is still basically a top tier resource for the time being. Hey, we got a ruby, red and shiny. That's fantastic. Also means we can stop mining one earlier, so we don't have an extra iron ore lying around. We can just sell an extra iron ore. Or we can keep it in the bank. And eventually we'll end up with more rubies that we get. Ruby's also 250. I think that was the same value as the emerald was. I think we have the levels to be able to make use of this ruby, so that's good. Right. Let us see what we can do with this. Only 14 ingots this time. That's okay. Yeah, metallurgy is 20. I think that was the level for the ruby ring. That's probably gonna use an iron ingot too. So that's that. Again, I guess that's slightly less forging experience you're gonna get, because you use some of your Oh, I guess you just use a handful of these. So this is worth 250, and this is worth 90. So that's 340. Make the ruby ring, and that is 400. So that's still profit. And this one has 15 armor compared to the emerald ring's 5. So that's another 10. That's pretty good. Come over here. Make an iron sword with 2 bars. Let's just slowly make our way towards level 20. He also has a defense amulet. Sapphire rings for 3,000. We'll just get there ourselves. Yeah, we're not going to be getting level 20 here for the iron boots, so. I don't know if I want to keep the emerald ring is a little bit more difficult to come by, so I think we might just keep this in the bank. Because if we ever get into a situation where we end up losing some stuff, that's a good backup item. Alright, comparing these swords, we've got 25, 1.2, 31. So it's literally more damage and faster. So the iron sword is the new weapon of choice for me. It's going to be a little bit before we can make the iron greatsword, so that's an upgrade. I don't feel like keeping the copper greatsword around really matters. If we lose any of these regular kind of items, we can just make hundreds of with no problem. It's not a huge deal. We can easily come back and make it again. Up to 420 iron arrowheads. Very cool. I think one more round should be enough for us to make the boots. And then we can see if they're actually more powerful than the leather boots. Based on the upgrades we've seen from the rest of the iron equipment, we should still be okay with that. Or alternatively, we might end up getting a extra ruby here. That would also be nice. We'd probably want to save that until we got to a higher metallurgy level to try to make the amulet. Because you never know if you're going to end up getting more on your way through the leveling process. We only just managed to get the 2 emeralds, so whether or not the more experience you need, coupled with the rare drop rate of the higher level gems, hard to say. Okay, it seems like you stop mining if the other person... You continue mining if the other person is the one that took the last resource. So that does make mining with multiple people a little bit worse. Can't say anything about whether or not it makes you much slower. Seems to be mostly still having the ores up most of the time. I'm not sure. You do seem to need to switch more often, possibly, so maybe. Let's go make some boots. We should have enough to make the boots. Okay. So this is iron. The mining, the smelting, the smithing. And yeah, the ruby amulet's not till 25 metallurgy. But we're definitely gonna get there on our way to, was it 33 forging? My goodness. There's 21, yeah. That's not, getting to 25 is not gonna be a problem on that scale. I want to look at the levels over here in the forging. Over here in the, actually smelting it down, it's 1, 15, 30, 40, which, and then these kind of fill in the gaps, pretty much. Over here in the forging, you get to level 10, and then there's nothing until level 16. Then you get to level 25, and there's nothing until level 31. I guess it's only 31, that's better. Better than 33 at least. 33 is where you can start making the armor. So, 11 to 15, and then 26 to 30 have nothing at all. This is level 40, and this is also level 40, but that's basically placeholder. This might get filled out more once combat's more finished and there's actually an idea of what all types of different things you're gonna have to be able to make. We'll set ourselves up to make 13 arrowheads. So once we get to the end of this, we'll have the 2 bars left to make the boots. I'm learning, figuring this out. There's Forge and 20, and that's iron boots. So we still need to get from 20 to 25 to make the rest of the set. I think we've pretty much played out this whole iron process here. Okay, let's see. The stats are 30 armor. Wow. That's like way better. That's twice as good as the leather boots. So let's get a better look at these boots. Yep, they're iron. That's twice as good as the leather boots, which were basically twice as good as the copper boots. I almost think that maybe but then the boots have more defense than the legs. I don't know. Work in progress. Early access. We're gonna put the leather boots in just to have the full leather set. Eventually we will upgrade to, I believe it's wolf leather is next. But we definitely don't need the copper boots anymore. So we can sell those. Because we have iron boots now. Big upgrades, big upgrades. Alright. All this is going to be shuffled around, or sorted in some fashion when we log off, so I'm not going to worry about trying to move things or anything. It's fine. We got 2,600 gold. Working our way through the iron set. Still have our chicken pet. That's always good. We are working. There's a fire in the bank. That's not what you want. It's interesting you can put fires basically anywhere. Like under picnic tables and inside buildings. So that might change. I'm going to, probably between episodes, do a whole bunch of mining, metallurgy, and forging. Possibly just to get the level to make the full iron. Possibly get to the level where we can use steel. Possibly in the middle. Depends how much I feel like doing this. But next time, we're going to be kitted out in full iron. And we'll probably take that and go fight something. Because iron's the best we can use, so that'll be good. Possibly go against some lower level creatures before we run off to fight wolves or something. I'll have to look into what the next monster we might want to fight is. We'll do that with the Iron Greatsword next time. Goodbye.